Welcome to a journey through time as we uncover the incredible story of London. From a humble Roman settlement to a sprawling global metropolis, this city's history is packed with drama, disaster, and dazzling triumphs. Our story begins almost 2,000 years ago. In 43 AD, the Romans invaded Britain. They saw the strategic potential of a spot on the north bank of the River Thames and founded a settlement called Londinium. A sturdy wooden bridge was built across the river, the first London Bridge, turning this new town into a vital hub for trade and transport. Londinium grew quickly. A defensive wall was constructed, enclosing an area that roughly corresponds to the modern city of London. You can still see fragments of this ancient wall today. Inside the walls, a bustling city took shape. There was a grand basilica, a forum for public life, an amphitheater for entertainment, and comfortable villas for the wealthy. But this prosperity was short-lived. In 60 AD, the Iceni queen Boudicca led a furious rebellion against Roman rule. Londinium was burned to the ground. The Romans, however, were resilient. They rebuilt the city, making it bigger and better than before. For the next 3 centuries, Londinium flourished as the capital of Roman Britannia. By the early 5th century, the Roman Empire was crumbling. The legions were withdrawn from Britain, leaving Londinium vulnerable. The city was largely abandoned, and a period known as the Dark Ages began. Anglo-Saxons began to settle in the area, but they preferred to live outside the old Roman walls. A new settlement, Londonwick, emerged to the west, in what is now the Covent Garden area. Londonwick became a thriving Saxon trading port. But its riverside location made it a prime target for a new wave of invaders, the Vikings. Throughout the 9th century, Viking longships repeatedly sailed up the Thames, raiding and plundering. Londonwick was sacked multiple times. It was King Alfred the Great who finally turned the tide. He defeated the Vikings and, understanding the strategic importance of the old Roman defenses, moved the population back within the safety of the Roman walls. The city was reborn as Londonburg. After the Norman conquest in 1066, William the Conqueror sought to solidify his control over the powerful city. He began construction of a formidable fortress on the riverbank, the Tower of London. The White Tower, the central keep, was a symbol of Norman power, designed to both protect and intimidate the Londoners. Westminster Abbey, consecrated just before the conquest, became the coronation church for English monarchs, a tradition that continues to this day. Medieval London boomed. Trade guilds, known as livery companies, were established, controlling their respective crafts and trades, from goldsmiths to fishmongers. The city became a maze of narrow, winding streets, timber-framed houses, and countless parish churches. The iconic old St. Paul's Cathedral, with its towering spire, dominated the skyline. London Bridge was rebuilt in stone, completed in 1209. It was more than just a bridge. It was a bustling street lined with houses, shops, and even a chapel, a vibrant part of city life for over 600 years. The city's population swelled, but life was often harsh. Sanitation was poor, and overcrowding was common. In the mid-14th century, disaster struck. The Black Death swept through Europe, arriving in London in 1348. The plague wiped out at least a third of the city's population, a devastating blow. Despite this, London recovered and continued to grow in importance. The Tudor period, beginning in the late 15th century, brought a new era of prosperity and cultural flowering. Under monarchs like Henry VIII and Elizabeth I, London became a center of the English Renaissance. This was the age of William Shakespeare. The first permanent public playhouses were built, like the theater in Shoreditch and later, the famous Globe Theatre on the South Bank. Londoners flocked to see plays by Shakespeare, Marlowe, and Jonson. The River Thames was the city's main highway, thronged with boats and watermen ferrying people from one side to the other. But the 17th century would bring 2 of the greatest calamities in London's history. The first was political. The English Civil War. London sided with Parliament against King Charles I. The city's wealth and resources were crucial to Parliament's eventual victory. Decades later, in 1665, the Great Plague returned. It was a terrifying epidemic. The wealthy fled, but the poor were trapped. It's estimated that around 100,000 people, a quarter of the population, perished. Then, just a year later, in September 1666, a fire broke out in a baker's shop on Pudding Lane. Fanned by a strong easterly wind, the flames spread rapidly through the tightly packed wooden buildings. This was the Great Fire of London. It raged for 4 days, destroying over 13,000 houses, 87 churches, and the magnificent St. Paul's Cathedral. Miraculously, the official death toll was very low. The fire, though a catastrophe, presented a unique opportunity to rebuild. Plans for a radical redesign of the city were proposed, but ultimately, the old street plan was largely retained. Sir Christopher Wren was the man of the hour. He was tasked with redesigning and rebuilding the city's churches, his masterpiece being the new St. Paul's Cathedral, with its magnificent dome that would define the London skyline for centuries. The 18th century saw London blossom into the heart of the burgeoning British Empire. It was the age of enlightenment, a time of coffee houses, intellectual debate, and incredible commercial expansion. The docks grew, handling goods from all over the world: tea, sugar, tobacco, and spices. The Bank of England, founded in 1694, cemented the city's status as a global financial center. New, elegant squares and terraces were built in areas like Mayfair and Bloomsbury as the wealthy moved west. This was the London of Georgian architecture, of Handel's music and Hogarth's paintings, but it was also a city of stark contrasts. While the rich enjoyed a life of luxury, vast numbers of Londoners lived in poverty and squalor, as depicted in the works of Charles Dickens a century later. The 19th century brought the Industrial Revolution, and London was transformed at a breathtaking pace. The population exploded, growing from 1 million in 1800 to over 6 million by 1900. This was the Victorian era. Britain was the world's leading industrial power, and London was its engine room. A revolutionary new form of transport arrived: the railway. Grand new stations like Paddington and King's Cross were built, connecting London to the rest of the country. To solve the city's horrendous traffic problems, an even more radical idea was proposed: an underground railway. In 1863, the world's first, the Metropolitan Railway, opened. The London Underground was born. Massive engineering projects reshaped the city. Joseph Bazalgette's revolutionary sewer system cleaned up the Thames, combating disease and the infamous Great Stink of 1858. New bridges were built, including the iconic Tower Bridge, a marvel of Victorian engineering. Completed in 1894, cultural institutions flourished. The British Museum, the National Gallery, and the South Kensington Museums, including the V&A and the Natural History Museum, were established, opening up knowledge and art to the public. By the turn of the 20th century, London was the largest and wealthiest city in the world, the capital of a vast global empire. But the 20th century would bring new challenges. The First World War brought the first aerial bombardments, with German Zeppelin airships and later, Gotha bombers, attacking the capital. The interwar years saw continued expansion, with suburbs sprawling into the surrounding countryside, connected by the growing tube network. Then came the Second World War. From 1940 to 1941, London endured the Blitz. For 76 consecutive nights, the city was bombed by the Luftwaffe. Huge areas of London, especially the East End and the City, were devastated. St. Paul's Cathedral miraculously survived, a powerful symbol of defiance and resilience. After the war, the rebuilding began once more. The 1951 Festival of Britain on the South Bank was designed to give a vision of a new, modern, and optimistic future. The post-war decades also saw the start of large-scale immigration from Commonwealth countries, which would forever change the face of the city, making it one of the most multicultural places on Earth. The 1960s saw swinging London, a cultural revolution in fashion, music, and art that radiated out from Carnaby Street and the King's Road. London was again the coolest city on the planet. The latter half of the 20th century saw economic challenges and social change, but also regeneration. The Docklands, once the heart of the empire's trade, fell into decline, but were reborn in the 1980s as a new financial district, Canary Wharf. The start of the 21st century saw London welcome the new millennium with the construction of the London Eye, a giant Ferris wheel offering panoramic views of the city it had taken 2,000 years to build. In 2012, the world's attention was once again on London as it hosted the Olympic Games for a record third time, a spectacular celebration of the city's energy and diversity. Today, London's skyline is a testament to its entire history. Wren's historic church spires jostle with modern skyscrapers like the Shard and the Gherkin. The city continues to evolve, facing the challenges of the 21st century while cherishing its incredible past. From Roman walls to royal parks, from Shakespeare's Globe to the Shard, the story of London is written on its very streets. It's a story of resilience, innovation, and constant reinvention. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey through London's history. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories from the past. See you next time.